Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5 knives that I've carried most over the last couple of months. If you're like me, your rotation changes, right? And you're always acquiring new things. Or maybe you're just kind of dipping back into your collection and pulling some stuff out that you haven't carried in a while just to kind of rediscover the joy of it. I like to do that a lot. I also like to update the people who watch my channel, like I said, about once every 2 months. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. I will link as many of these down below as I can. Not everything that I carry and use is stuff that's available. It is what it is. Starting off here with something that has not left my pocket since it came in. Oh boy, yeah. This is the Production Factor by Winterblade Co. I know so many people are seeing this for the first time right now and thinking, holy crap, where can I get that? It's not available yet. This was a production prototype that was sent to me from Mr. Winters of Winterblade Co. It runs on magnets and makes that awesome sound every single time. This will undoubtedly become likely the most carried knife, right? This is going to be probably #1 at the end of the next 2-month period. It's just that I just recently got it. So I've had it in my pocket nonstop for like a week and a half. So there's still knives that I've carried a little bit more, but it still made the top 10 for sure. I love carrying this thing. Not the most ergonomic. I mean, it's a big rectangle, right? The edges are nicely chamfered. There's a little bit of curvature down to here. A lot of people think this area would bother you. No, not really, because look at how it contacts my... It's like where you're grabbing it, there's a natural dip in your hand, and it's right over the top of that area. So I'm also a lot of times holding it like this. So not really. But then again, ergonomically, it's not the most wonderful thing in the world. It's how it's manipulated that makes it so fun. And then the blade is unbelievably thin, right? I like to carry this one mainly just for the fidget factor. It's just wonderful. It's the most innovative knife I have ever handled on this channel, and it's just a blast to carry and use. So yeah, I've even got a few little minor battle scars on the pocket clip there. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, Metal Complex definitely uses his knives, right? Look at those marks on the clip. God. What a hardcore user. Right, anyways. Fantastic knife. Moving on here. That was number 5. Moving on here to number 4. This is the tiniest knife that I have actually enjoyed carrying. This is the CIVI Baby Banter. It was designed by Ben Peterson. Many of you know him as Ben Banters. My thing generally against tiny knives is I just don't like how... normally, I don't like how difficult they are to manipulate because of their size, right? A lot of times the knife to hand ratio makes placement of the thumb studs, right, when you're designing it makes it a little difficult because it's so small, it can be a little bit difficult to manipulate. And this doesn't, you know, perfectly conquer all of those issues, but my goodness, for being such a tiny little knife, it really is easy to manipulate. I find myself throwing this in my pocket when I'm, you know, just walking around the house. I'm also going to go on not a huge trip, just a little trip coming up, and I'm, you know, looking forward to carrying I always carry a little tiny knife when I travel, and it used to be the CGRB Rhea, and from here forward it will probably be the Baby Banter. This is just G10 and Nitro V, but it works perfectly. The blade is ground really, really well. And, you know, it hasn't seen a ton of use. I do clean my knives, as I recently showed in that video. Yeah, it hasn't seen any major use. But as far as pocket time, absolutely, the CIVI Baby Banter has been one of my favorites here. Moving on to number 3, it's actually another CIVI. Oh man, this is a good knife. This is such a good... Perhaps, I know that I, you know, recently named the Cogent as the greatest budget knife in existence, and that was right before the Atlas came out. It's a bit smaller. It's got a little bit less cumbersome of a profile, right? It's kind of a trivial difference. Like if you like a bigger button lock and you're wanting a budget knife, then go for the Cogent. If you want something a little smaller, then go for the Altus. Did I say Atlas? I hope I didn't say Atlas. I keep calling this the Atlas. The Altus. Button lock thumb stud opener. So doing the reverse flick, plenty easy. Doing the thumb flick, easy, right? So this is G10 steel, and I think also Nitro V, which is a great steel. I've enjoyed it. A lot of people have measured out Nitro V to have similar. Somebody said it's like similar to. Somebody said, did they say OS 10 or OS 8? I can't remember. In my experience, Nitro V, or at least CIVI's Nitro V, seems to be better. The edge retention seems to be a lot better than that. It's not incredible. Nitro V doesn't have incredible edge retention, but it's plenty tough and easy to sharpen too. So I'm actually pretty happy with the balance in my experience, right? So yeah, good. Love the profile. Love how easy it is to carry. This is just a really good knife. And I think they are, what are they? Are they $70, $74, something like that? Real nice. If you're looking for something that is fidget friendly, utilitarian, and convenient, yeah, I'd very much recommend the CIVI Altus. Moving on here, and to the total opposite end of the spectrum, no surprise, my most expensive user, right? This is the, for people, because I'm actually looking forward to an opportunity to wield that video. If you don't think I use my knives, please let me know. I've got a video for you to watch. This is the knife, the Roxted Higo 2, which is a $1,500 pocket knife, is the knife that I recently drove into multiple thick plastic surfaces and twisted and carved it around to show people not only am I not afraid to use expensive knives, but they actually don't come out of situations of use like that showing heavy marks, scratches, and things like that because of how hard this steel is. In particular, this is 68 Rockwell hardened ZDP 189 that's been mirror polished. So it's very scratch resistant and extremely, in terms of edge retention, just extremely high. You guys know how long ago I bought this. And now you've seen some examples of how I use it. And the edge is just incredible. It's never needed anything outside of some incredibly minor stropping. I just love this knife. And while I'm still subconsciously aware that this is a $1,500 pocket knife, this is just turned into just a user that I just enjoy carrying. I'm just not bothered by, obviously I'm not gonna, carelessly leave it laying out somewhere where it might get stolen. A lot of people worry about carrying expensive knives. They say, well, the problem is that you might misplay. I lose pocket knives all the time. I'm afraid I would lose it. You're gonna be a lot more aware that you're carrying around. Like if you're carrying around a $1,500 knife, you're probably, I would say a lot more of your subconscious is going to be dedicated to remembering that thing's in there than something like a $40, $50, $60 CIVI. It just is what it is. We are naturally more protective of the things that are more expensive. Now, that does not perfectly, it does not, just knowing that does not offer a perfect shield in every single circumstance, right? But in my experience, yeah, I've always been very careful to make sure and take this back out of my pocket and put it back in its case here at home versus sort of just leaving it out in my truck for somebody to grab or leaving it out on a surface for somebody to grab or take, right? Yeah, titanium, carbon fiber, and the mirror polished ZDP with that beautiful zero edge. This thing has outlasted literally everything. And I mean multiple times over. In terms of, because this thing has some serious use now. And you can see here, the blade, despite, being prepped, it doesn't really matter. Here, we have something that I can just demonstrate with real quick. Cardboard has clay in it. A lot of times people say, oh, well, cardboard will mark up your blade, or it'll, leave lots of scratches and marks and things on. Oh, I know. Oh, does this bother you? No, truthfully, that kind of use is not going to do anything to a blade. It's not going to leave any marks, right? Even cutting through tape or things that, has something that's going to have something with adhesive on it, right? Something that's going to be sticky. Even that, it's really not going to do a whole lot in terms of leaving marks, right? So if you're one of those people who go, oh, certainly if the useless, it does have very, very many marks on it, that's dumb. That's not, like, not everything acts the same way, right? I mean, it's generally speaking, the rule is if the thing that you're cutting is harder than the thing that you are using to cut it, then it will probably leave marks on it, right? Or a lot of times when you cut things that are sticky with residue, right, that stuff stays on it until you clean it. So a lot of times how clean something looks is not necessarily evidence of how much it has been used. This guy gets used a lot. It doesn't get abused. I'm not chopping bricks in half with this knife, but I do use it a lot, and I love to use this knife. So the sting of, you know, how much money it cost me to acquire and own this knife is, honestly, it's gone at this point. This is just now something that I enjoy using. And anybody who's been on the fence about this, right, it's like I always say, the roxted Higo 2, I think, is overpriced. Not by $1,000, right? I think it's probably, you know, a few $100s overpriced. By percentage, though, it's not as bad as some of the knives that I have handled. That being said, am I happy with it after all this time? Extremely. This has been truly one of the best user knives that I have ever owned. And moving on here, finally, long presentation for the roxted. The knife that I have carried the most since I acquired it, that's going to be the Tactile Knife Co. Rockwell in MagnaCut. This has been great. I have not used this knife enough to really get a feel for MagnaCut. I found out that this one is hardened on the lower end of where Laren Thomas suggests, right? He talked about MagnaCut, you know, if you want to get it kind of balanced attributes, then you go 61, 62. If you want to go full-on edge retention performance mode, you want to go 63, 64. That's probably where most people are going to want to prefer it. This one has been hardened lower. On the card it says 61.5 or something like that. Me personally, haven't really had that much of a, you know, I haven't been going, gosh, the edge retention on this is really low. I've just been cutting regular things, cardboard and, you know, packages and stuff like that here and there. So not a whole lot of use to be able to definitively say, and I don't have another MagnaCut blade to compare it to that's been Rockwell hardened higher so that I can say, oh, here's the true potential of MagnaCut. I have no idea. Haven't had any issues with corrosion or anything like that. Then again, I don't generally have that many issues. So the steel itself, not really the reason I'm carrying it. Truthfully, the reason I enjoy carrying this thing is because of the profile. It's small and lightweight and compact, much like the bug out, except this guy is full titanium. So I don't get that sort of cheap, frail feeling. On top of that, you know, the axis lock is nice on the bug out, but I don't necessarily completely and totally trust the Omega Springs. This guy is a countersunk liner lock, which is fantastic. I also like the texturing. I like the blade profile, nice and thin. Love the thumb stud version of this. I think it's head and shoulders above the flipper version. And I also very much enjoy the pocket clip. You can see there I've bumped into a few things with this guy, but the pocket clip is just excellent. So, yeah, that absolutely is the knife that has made it into my pocket the most. As is usually the case, this will likely, completely and totally change over the next couple of weeks. That roxted has really been, I think it's made it most of the times. If it ever wasn't, it's always come back, you know. But my prediction for the next time we do this will likely be that the Factor is #1 and the roxted will still be in there somewhere. But yeah, as far as what is available right now, pretty much everything except for the Factor. And I know that that's going to bum people out. There's no, you know, he's working on them. That's all I know. You need to follow Winterblade Co. on Instagram for details and more information, news, things like that. But the rest of these should be available in one form or another. So I'll make sure that they're linked right down below. That's going to be pretty much it today, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Sorry, I don't know why we're not focusing. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. If you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.